Hey y'all, welcome back to Rolling with Stone. So it's Stone here coming to you with a video on how to choose the right foundation. So I know some people who aren't as experienced in makeup or haven't worn makeup that long or have only worn one type of foundation and want to switch. You know, it's a common thing not to know which way to go. There's so many foundations out there. So I've broken it down for you guys into 4 different categories on what to look for when choosing a foundation, and hopefully these tips can make it a little bit more easier for you. So when considering what foundation to get, you need to consider the color foundation, what texture you want, coverage, and the finish. So with color, of course, it's just you want to find something that's your skin tone. So just consider your undertones. So some people have just a neutral undertone, could go either way. Some people have a more pinkish or reddish undertone, and some people have a more yellow undertone. So when choosing a foundation, you want to try the foundation and make sure that it's not too orange or pink, or you want to make sure it's not too yellow for your skin tone. So when you test it out in the store, or if you get a sample and take it home, when you look in a natural light, make sure it matches you without looking too orangey or too yellow, pink, or any of those things. You want the color to be exact. So when choosing a foundation, you definitely want to make sure the color matches. Also, you want to consider texture. So foundations come in liquids, creams, powder forms, and different people like different things. So I would suggest trying maybe a liquid, cream, or powder. You want to try at least a couple of different ones. Maybe test it out for a week or so and see which one you prefer. Some people might like something that you don't. Like, you might talk to your friend who thinks, oh, I only work with creams, it's the best finish. And you work with creams and you don't like it. You don't like the way it manipulates or the way it sets on your skin. You might prefer a powder foundation. So just try it out and see what you like. Also, you want to consider finish of a foundation. Some foundation, when it dries to a matte finish, which what I'm wearing right now is a matte foundation. So it doesn't give you like a dewy glow or anything. It's just completely matte. Some foundations have a satin finish, so it looks a little bit more luminous than what I'm wearing now. Some foundations have a straight up dewy finish, so it gives you that J-Lo glow, almost not really like your skin is wet, but it looks like, some people might look at it and be like, oh, you need to put powder on, or, you know, it looks sticky, but it's just a radiance, a dewy look. And I like those foundations as well, but some people just don't like it. So try it out and see what you think. But I will tell you that people with oily skin, when you wear a dewy foundation, a lot of times it amplifies the oily look and it can cause you to look even oilier. So you might want to steer away from that if you have oily skin. Coverage is another thing that you want to make sure you like when choosing a foundation. Some foundations have a light coverage, like really sheer. Some foundations have a medium, and some foundations have a full coverage. And all 3 of those can be interchangeable. Like, for instance, if you have a foundation that's a more light coverage, sometimes if you build another layer on it, it can go light to medium. You get one that's a medium coverage. Sometimes if you put another layer, it could go medium to full coverage. And some foundations, at the thinnest point of the foundation, is just straight up full coverage. So consider what you need. If you have really clear skin, really clear luminous skin, you might not need a full coverage. A sheer coverage might look just fine for you. It will just even out your skin tone and make you look flawless without looking too heavy. Some people who have very clear, nice skin, if you put a full coverage foundation on, it will look heavy and you just straight up can't wear a full coverage foundation. So consider what works for you. If you have dark blemishes in your skin or hyperpigmentation or something where you need that coverage and you put on a sheer foundation, sometimes it just straight up won't cover those marks, and you need something a little bit more full coverage that will give you the coverage you need. So you definitely need to consider coverage when choosing a foundation. So for those who don't know what I mean by coverage, this is the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer. When you put on this moisturizer, just a little bit on your skin and blend it out, you can still see my skin through it, but you have somewhat of coverage here. Now, usually with most tinted moisturizers, it's straight up sheer. Laura Mercier tinted moisturizer gives you a little bit more coverage than a typical moisturizer. So with this, you can see where it's on my skin, but it's not super thick and it doesn't cover every single thing. So that's going to be considered sheer. Or if you put another layer of this, it can be considered sheer to medium coverage. Another foundation that I'm going to show you guys is one of my holy grail foundations, and I call this like the universal foundation because it can go from sheer if you put a little bit on all the way to full coverage if you put a couple of layers on your skin. So the Revlon Color Stay foundation, if you put a little bit of this on your skin, I'll put it right here and blend it out. It's more opaque, so it's gonna cover more. So I would consider this medium to full coverage because if you blend it out a little bit more, it's gonna look exactly like the Laura Mercier tinted moisturizer. So it can go medium to full coverage depending on how you apply it. Now, this is the Kat Von D Lock It foundation. This is straight up full coverage, you guys. So I'll put this on the very end here. So I hope you guys can see it. But when you blend that out, you guys, this is super opaque. It covers everything. That's what I'm wearing now. Today, I don't even have on a color corrector, and you guys know I always put on a color corrector. So it covers every single scar, everything with one layer because it's completely full coverage. But if I would have went in with one layer with the Laura Mercier tinted moisturizer, you would have been able to still see my dark scars. So that's just to give you an idea of what, you know, sheer or light to medium all the way to full coverage means. So those are my tips for trying to find a foundation. Some people might feel like, oh, this is too much information, I still won't be able to find one. What I would suggest for you is to get samples. Go to your local department store and try out, get samples of a few foundations. Maybe get one that's like a medium coverage and one that's a full coverage, depending on what you need. Maybe get one that's a matte finish and one that has more of a satiny or luminous finish. Try it out for about a week. Don't wear it for one day and count it out, you guys, because I've done that before. I've worn foundations that one time and was like, oh, I don't like this, and then tried it a year or two down the line and has fallen in love with the foundation because I didn't know what I was looking for, or I didn't know how to properly use that foundation. Didn't use the right brush or whatever. But try that foundation for about a week so you can get a good idea of how that foundation works with your skin, what it does for you, do you like it, and seeing it in different lighting settings to decide if that's really for you. So I hope these tips have been helpful for those who might not know how to choose a foundation or the right foundation. So if you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to leave it below, and I'll try to answer that as soon as I can. So if you can leave your the name of your favorite foundation down below, I would really appreciate that. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see all of my new videos. And until next time, thank you for rolling with Stone.